shorter even with the heels, so I'll push this down a little bit. Well, I feel really privileged to have been granted the opportunity to write this story. And the backstory, which I include in the introduction, is that Ian actually took quite a bit of time to try to convince Jim and Paul and the rest of the staff and board of Sask of the importance of writing the story. How many years was it, Ian? That
I think about 2.
at least a couple of years before he got them convinced that they should do it. And then it was probably a couple of years into the project that they became more enthusiastic about the project, I think. That's largely because of Dawn and Ian and their role in helping open doors for me, for people that I needed to talk to be able to do this book properly. Because a book is only as good as the stories and the characters that are within it. And I have to say I had a lot of great material to work with. I have to tell you though, I was a little bit of a reluctant participant in writing the book. I didn't share this yesterday, but my husband, Pat Rediger, who many of you may know, has done some work off and on with Sask over the years. He came home one day and he said, you know, there's a couple of past presidents that are really keen on writing a book about Sask sport. Is that something you think you'd be interested in? You know, he knew I was also had been talking for a long time about going back to university and doing a PhD. You know, this whole story with the lotteries is actually quite interesting. Maybe this could be a subject for your dissertation. And I'm like, well, actually, I think I might have said, oh, come on, really? And there's a couple people in this room, my aunt and uncle, Judith and Ivan, and the Assalees in the back, who will know that really, I didn't think I was the right person for this book because I was picked last for every team sport. The only thing that I was good at was dodgeball, but that's because bullies were trying to throw the ball at me and I became very good at dodging the ball, right? You know, so I really wondered, you know, if I could do a book like this justice. So I kind of started it off really feeling like intimidated, I guess is the word that I could say. But, and I was also a little bit skeptical when I first started the research because I worked in government for quite a few years and my background is in public relations. So my whole world is about spin. And I thought, you know, I wondered if all the hype I was hearing about how good the Saskatchewan amateur sports system was really, you know, warranted. I spent, you know, because truthfully, I've never really come across a program or a policy, even the best ones, that didn't have its healthy share of critics. And Mr. Martin, B.D. Martin, can you wave so everybody else can see you? Mr. Martin can attest to this. He was a cabinet minister during the 1980s. And you can attest to the fact that politics in Saskatchewan is a little polarized, maybe? A little?
Tend to be.
Tend to be. The one thing that really surprised me more than anything when I was writing this book was how universal the story was. Because I talked to politicians of all political stripes, civil servants from every administration, you know, right starting from the time when Sask was established, volunteers from kind of all walks of life. Everybody kept saying the same thing. I think that's why I kept interviewing more people, because I thought, well, am I asking the right questions? You know? But there was this tremendous sense of pride, like almost a fierce loyalty and commitment to how Saskatchewan funds its sport, culture, and recreation programs. It was really surprising to me. That kind of level of involvement at the grassroots level in the development of programs, it quite frankly seemed kind of unbelievable, but the more I heard, the more I believed it had to be true. And I feel like now I have a whole new extended family after working on this project. My life is really richer after interviewing so many fascinating people like Mr. Martin and Henrietta in the back. For those of you that don't know Henrietta, she's got many claims to fame, but she coached Katrina LeMay Doan for many years. And her husband, Bernie, who unfortunately I never had a chance to meet Bernie because he passed away a number of years ago. But Henrietta and Bernie are one of the reasons why we're all in this building today, because they pushed the people of Saskport really hard to try to find a space to have programming in Saskatoon. So, you know, people like Henrietta and her husband have done so much for the amateur sport community in this province that's what this book is about the Henrietta and Bernie Goplins of the amateur sports system. So there's a lot of many interesting stories that I could share with you that are in the book, but I'm going to make you read it instead. I am, however, going to ask one of the more interesting people that I introduced, Mr. Sask to share one of the stories I do include in the book. Cass, for those of you that don't know him, he was a founding director of Sask Sport. He served as president in 1974-75. Baseball was his sport of choice. For a time, he served as Secretary General of the International Baseball Association. He even went to Cuba, and he has a picture on his wall of him with Fidel Castro. Can you believe it? Anyways, Cass was just a young lad, recently married, starting his family. You know, he had a mortgage for his house and, you know, borrowed money to establish a business. And he was convinced that lotteries were the future for amateur sport in Saskatchewan. And you were right, Cass. The rest is all history. But I knew I'd been working on the book a little too long when I'm going to tell this again. I told it yesterday, but
I'm feeling kind of.
I was in the boardroom in Regina. It's the Sask Sport boardroom. Some of you have probably been in there, and all these people that I actually didn't interview for the book, who had been long deceased. People like Bill Clark, who was one of the original civil servants that helped push, and a couple of the other key people. We're all in this room, and I was able to pose some of the questions I hadn't quite figured out yet. And I woke up in the morning and I'm going, is that really true? Because these people, did I have some kind of outer body experience? It's definitely time to wrap the project up. But anyways, it's been like such an honor getting to know so many of the people in the amateur sport community. And even though I'm a non-sports person now, I was telling Annabeth that I do have a wrestler in the family, but we really do have a great system, and I'm honored that I was able to be the one that was able to capture some of the stories within the book.